aka it's your host Sauce from the Viral Kingdom, and in today's video I'm going to be going over the cheapest Palworld server hosts. We're going to be starting from the absolute cheapest servers that you can find all the way to a bit more pricey servers, and you guys can decide which one is going to benefit you the most, as the cheapest option isn't always the best option, and I'll be giving you my opinions on these servers and how I feel about them, as I've been using hosting services for quite some time now with Minecraft and now with Palworld, so I do have a pretty decent idea of which ones are decent and which ones aren't. As well, everything will be linked down in the description. If you use those links, it really supports the channel. Now let's get into this video on the cheapest servers, starting with Shockbyte. Now it's important to note that there could be cheaper options than $11.99 out there, but these that I have listed today are all ones that I trust. There could be some out there that are like $5 a month, but it might be terrible service and your server is never going to be up and you're just going to have a ton of problems. So I'd really stick to the ones I'm recommending in today's video, and the cheapest one is going to be Shockbyte. Shockbyte has the option of $11.99 server, which has up to 12 player slots, so that is literally $1 per person per month, which is absolutely so cheap, especially considering Shockbyte has been around for so long. They've been a hosting service all the way back in the early Minecraft days, and I definitely trust Shockbyte. But a big thing that's important to note with Shockbyte is that you really want to purchase a quarterly at the very minimum if you are going to purchase a server from them, and that's just because of the discounts. Realistically, what I think is the best bang for your buck is the 6-month server, or if you're really planning on playing Palworld for a decent amount of time, I would go with the year, but honestly I'd stick with the 6-month. I think is the best bang for your buck. If you go in with like 5 other friends, it's literally $10 each and you'll have a fantastic service host for 6 months. And if you fill up the 10 player slots, that's like 80 cents a month, which is so cheap. I think it's absolutely worth it. You only have to pay once in 6 months. It's definitely the cheapest option that you guys are going to see. So I definitely recommend, if you do decide to go with Shockbyte, that you do choose the 6-month option or the semi-annually option, as it's going to be 20% off. Now I did make a video on my 7 favorite hosting services, and I do go a lot more in depth on why they're my favorite, and I'm not going to really do that in today's video. I'm just going to be more focusing on the price, but Shockbyte is a fantastic service and I definitely recommend it. Now let's go on to the next cheapest option, which is going to be Apex Hosting. So with Apex, it is going to be at $16.87 the first month. However, once that first month is over, it is going to jump up to $22, which is a bit more expensive than some of the other servers we're going to be talking about within today's video. So that's something to keep in mind. You will get a 6 GB server, which is a pretty decent size, although I would recommend maybe going up to 8 GB. I just find that's a better RAM amount when it comes to Palworld servers. Apex has been around for quite some time. It's a really fantastic service, and I'd say it's one of like the OG server hosters when it comes to Minecraft, and on Palworld their servers are just as good. Now the next option is going to be Hostinger, and Hostinger is very cheap. As you can see, $8.99 a month. However, what I've noticed is that it's not actually true, because when you go to add the cart to your plan, suddenly it goes from $8.99 to $16.99, and you're only going to get $8.99 if you purchase 24 months. So that's literally 2 years of Palworld server hosting, and I don't know if I'd recommend doing that, just because you don't know if you're going to be playing the game for 2 years. Sure, maybe 6 months is probably fine, but 2 years is kind of a long time. I wouldn't really recommend going down that route. So if you wanted to do the 1 month option, it's going to be $16.99 a month, which still isn't a terrible price, but it's obviously a lot more than that original $8.99. So at $16.99, it is not a awful price, and you are saving. They currently have a discount going on in Hostinger. I use it for my websites. I think it's fantastic, although I've never really used it for Palworld server hosting. I'm sure it works just as good. Now the next option is going to be the X Gaming server, and this states that it's at $15 a month, which makes it relatively cheap at the most basic option, which gives you about 6 gigabytes of RAM. Now with that being said, I have never tested out X Gaming server. I have no idea if it's good. I have no idea if it's bad. So I'm just throwing it in this video as like a bonus thing. I've heard some things about it being pretty cheap and it's decent, but honestly, I don't know much. I think it's a relatively new hosting service, so you could toss things up in the air. It could be really bad for all I know. I'm only including it in this video because the subscriber said how cheap it was, and it is indeed quite cheap. Now the next option is going to be Host Havoc, which runs at about $20 a month on a server with around 8 player slots. Now if we go up to those 12 player slots, it's a lot more on par with the other servers and what they're offering, and you can see it jumps up to $24, which isn't terrible, but we're starting to get a bit more pricey with these services. However, Host Havoc has been around for quite some time. They do have a 10% off code going on right now, so if you wanted to use that, use a link down in the description. But ultimately, Host Havoc is a great service. At $24, it's a little more steep than something like Shockbyte, but still a decent option. The next option is going to be GG Servers, another fantastic hosting service that has been around for quite some time, especially in Minecraft, and now they're doing Palworld. It is going at the same price as Host Havoc, $24, and you're going to get around 12 player slots. However, you're going to actually get more gigabytes, so more RAM than Host Havoc. But at the end of the day, it's still $24, which is a decent price for a month. However, it is a bit more pricey than the options we talked about earlier. And lastly is Game Team. I found the Game Team servers to be fantastic, and it's honestly the first server I ever tested out for Palworld, and it worked beautifully. However, I'm adding it at the end of this video because it's absolutely the most expensive server on this list at $29.50 a month. You are getting quality here, but at that price, unless you plan on paying a decent sum for your server, I'm assuming if you clicked on this video, you're probably going to want to go with one of the earlier options. So that's been Sauce from the Viral Kingdom. If you have any questions on the cheapest hosting services in Palworld, leave them down in the comment section. And if you're curious on how to set up your own server using Shockbyte, I actually made a whole tutorial, which you can go ahead and check out on my channel. With that out of the way, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. See ya in the next one.
Thank you for watching the video. And don't forget to ring that bell. Thank you for watching the video. And if you're a fan, subscribe if you can.